Hey folks, welcome back to the Spatial Computing MOOC. My job in this video is to go over the course structure, and the first thing in this video you'll notice is a learning objective slide. You'll see this slide in most of our videos. It'll give you an understanding of what you're going to learn in the video and what you're going to learn in the module overall. So in this video, we have a number of different learning objectives. First, we want you're going to, by the end of this video, know what to expect each week in the course, so both in terms of content and structure. Next, this video will help you choose your track. If you read the syllabus in the README first, which I highly recommend doing, you'll see that there are 3 tracks in this course. We'll go over what each track consists of and help you choose the right track for your needs. And by the end of this video, you will understand the course rules. There are several. For instance, we're not going to allow any late problem sets. And finally, by the end of this video, you should know what's going to roughly happen each week. So you'll be able to plan your schedule accordingly and work towards the successful completion of this course. Okay, speaking of course schedule, some basics. As you probably know, we started on Tuesday, September 22nd. We'll end Monday, November 17th. So this is an 8-week course. It's not a full semester, it's half of a semester. In those 8 weeks, we'll have 8 modules, 1 per week. Each module is going to be quite self-contained. And if you do want to know more about spatial computing, do come study with us at the University of Minnesota. We have a number of different courses that will be of interest to you if you like this MOOC. Okay, what's happening in each module? Well, each module is going to consist of a number of different things. First, and if you've taken a MOOC before, this will be quite obvious. There will be a number of lecture videos. This will range from maybe just 2 to 3 videos to many more than that. You shouldn't see more than 2 hours or so of course video per module. Each module will also have mandatory course readings. We will rely on you to independently go to the readings website, which I'll show you in a bit, download the readings, read them. They will be included in your problem sets, so you'll definitely want to make sure you do that. Speaking of problem sets, you'll have 1 to 2 each week, depending on the track you choose. And for those of you in the technical track, there will also be 4 assignments in total. Okay. Each module is going to have a very consistent schedule, so you will know what to expect. The modules begin at midnight our time here in Minnesota on Tuesdays. The modules end all, as you might guess, at 11:59 p.m. on Mondays. And once more, I want to reiterate, all times refer to the time here in Minnesota. Okay, during the course of this MOOC, unfortunately, we have a little bit of a time point of confusion. In the United States here, we celebrate something called daylight savings time, and that means that Minnesota time actually shifts while the MOOC is running. Before November 2nd will be UTC -5. After November 2nd will be UTC -6. So the last couple of modules in this course are unfortunately, for many of you, effectively in a different time zone. Now the good news is that if you use Coursera software to set your time zone, you shouldn't have to worry about any of this. So it should tell you when things are due according to your local time. So that's the good news. Okay. Moving on to module topics. Again, we'll have 8 modules. The first one, which is the one we're in right now, is the introduction module. Dr. Shekhar and I are both teaching this one. In week 2, you'll get a wonderful lecture and a wonderful set of materials on spatial query languages from Dr. Shekhar. So this is learning about how to access spatial data. It is, laying the foundation for many of the other things that we'll learn in the course. Week 3 is spatial networks, so think routing and location-based services. So for instance, how can I design a system to find the nearest pizza parlors to where I am, or understand the systems that I use that do that functionality. Week 4 is spatial data mining. So you heard Dr. Shekhar mention the famous example in public health of Dr. John Snow in England doing effectively rudimentary 1800-style hotspot detection. Dr. Shekhar will show you how to do that in a much more advanced way and in a much more automated way, as well as cover other topics in week 4. Starting in week 5, you'll see me show up again. I'm going to give you a lecture about volunteered geographic information. This is a fundamental change in the type of data that we typically consider in spatial computing. So this is a fun lecture. Week 6, we'll do a module on positioning, so understanding, for instance, how your smartphone knows where you are. Week 7, we'll do cartography and geographic human-computer interaction. So this is everything from making traditional maps to making more interactive maps. And then lastly, this is going to be a fun one. We'll cover future directions in spatial computing. So we'll talk about where we think things are going in the next 5 to 10 years, and then the course will be over. Okay, group and individual work. For the most part, we're going to want you to do work individually in this course. Feel free, of course, to study in groups. Coursera does have a number of facilities to help you out with that. I'll talk about that in a second. All your problem sets, we expect that you will do these individually in accordance with Coursera's honor code. The technical track only, for those of you in the technical track, all assignments are going to be done individually, just like the problem sets, and do see the syllabus for more information about the group and individual work policy. Okay, just to give you a little bit of perspective here, I know these things vary across the world, but here in the United States, we generally do take plagiarism and copying and these types of things quite seriously. In fact, as we were recording this module, a senator decided to quit his Senate race because he copied some stuff from his graduate thesis, and that was discovered. And this was such a big shame that he had to quit his big race for the Senate. So we do take these things kind of pretty seriously here in the United States. Okay, the course has 3 tracks, and we're going to go through these tracks, and your goal by the end of the discussion here is to figure out which track you want to take. So the first track is the curiosity track. Now this one's pretty simple. It's targeted at people who want to learn about one or more spatial computing topics, but not the whole thing, right? You don't want to commit to the whole 8-week course. And for this track, of course, no certificate can be given, but you'll, of course, get all the knowledge that you gain from participating in the modules and watching the videos and so on and so forth. We have no prereqs for this, right? Prerequisites, excuse me. We'll let you figure out what you can do and encourage you to do it. Now, the next track is what we call the concepts track. And in this track, we're expecting folks who want to be able to make informed spatial computing decisions, maybe understand what other folks who are more technical in their company are doing, or just curious about how all these cool new spatial computing technologies work. These are the folks we expect to be in this track. We'll give a statement of accomplishment if you successfully complete the track. I'll talk about grading a bit in a little. And we do have a few prerequisites here, primarily that you have some familiarity with online maps or some familiarity with spatial computing in general. Nothing serious at all. Just that you know what's going on when you do online routing, these types of things. Or excuse me, you've participated in that. You don't need to know what's going on. We'll teach you what's going on. And the time per week for this one is pretty limited. It's just 2 to 4 hours per week. That's what we expect folks who participate in the concept track to have to commit to this course to successfully complete it. Okay, the final track is the technical track. This is targeted at people with a programming and a math background. You don't have to be a PhD computer scientist, but we do expect a little bit of programming and math experience. You'll have programming assignments on top of your problem sets. We'll give you a distinguished statement of accomplishment, and we do have some prerequisites here, and that is we want you to have some experience with Java. Most of the assignments will be in Java, and a little web development experience as well. And you'll need to have some roughly pre-calculus level math as well as some basic statistics. There's going to be a little more work in the technical track, an additional 2 to 3 hours, not too much, but definitely a little more. And I do want to alert you to the fact that this is an average. So some weeks you might have maybe 4 to 6 more hours of work. Other weeks you'll have no additional work at all relative to the concepts track. Okay, let's talk about course deliverables. So for the concepts track students, you'll have a very clear deliverable each week, and that is a single problem set. So you'll know that if you want to complete the concepts track, you can plan for a single problem set each week, nothing more and nothing less. For the technical track students, it gets a little bit more complicated. Some weeks you're going to have an additional problem set on top of the concepts track problem set. So you'll be required to do both of these problem sets. And again, in some weeks you'll also have a hands-on assignment as well. So which track should you choose? Well, this is of course up to you entirely, but I'm guessing that it's going to be, your decision is going to be some function of the following factors. One is the amount of time you have available. If you don't have the additional hours to spend on the technical track, assignments and problem sets, don't worry about it. Just do the concepts track. Also, your existing knowledge base and skill set's going to figure in here, right? If you don't have any experience programming, we really recommend that you don't try the technical track. You don't need a ton of programming experience, but you do need some. You'll have to decide how much you want a certificate. If you don't want a certificate, and you're interested in only 4 of the modules, just participate in 4 of the modules. No harm done at all, and we'll be glad to have you participate in the discussion and so on and so forth. The computer you have available will matter. I'll talk more about that in a second. And then you'll have, of course, some other individual factors that may figure into your decision. Okay, speaking of computers, we do have some system requirements for this course, and for the full details, I'm actually going to refer you to the syllabus in the Read Me First document, but we'll just go over a couple of high-level points here. For the Curiosity and Concepts track, there are no system requirements. This is just for the technical track, so if you're in the Curiosity and Concepts track, you're doing fine. Don't worry about it. You just need to run the Coursera software. For the technical track, we do have some requirements. So for instance, you have to have an IDE, an integrated development environment, or some other way of running Java software, and so on and so forth. We've attempted to make assignments as accessible as possible to a wide range of platforms. We're not going to require anything ridiculous, right? We're not going to require, for instance, that you have your own Android smartphone or iOS smartphone. That's not on the table. We do, however, expect that you have some reasonable computing device, and you can read more details on the website. I do want to point out that it's your responsibility to install the appropriate software and make sure it's working. We'll help you through the process, but it is your responsibility. We unfortunately can't provide individual technical support. There's some big problem, some platform changed, these types of things. We'll of course help you all out with that, but if it's an individual problem, unfortunately we can't help you. And we actually can't give extra time or make up points or these types of things for technical issues. Okay, let's talk grading. There are 2 parallel point systems, and as you might guess, there's a point system for the concepts track and a point system for the technical track. Concept track points can only come from concept track problem sets, as you might guess, and the technical track points only come from technical track problem sets and technical track assignments. Now, if you're in the concepts track, super easy to understand, right? Just do well on your problem sets. If you're in the technical track, we do expect you to pass the concepts track. So I'll talk about what passing means in a second, as well as pass the technical track in terms of the number of points. Okay. Speaking of which, for the concepts track certificate, we'll expect that you get 50% of concept track points. Our goal here isn't to make this very, very difficult on you, right? Our goal is to help you learn. And so we don't want to make you get, 99% of points. Just 50% of points is all we're going to require. And for the technical track distinguished certificate, you'll also have to get 50% of technical track points. And this is a critical point. If for some reason, you can't figure out an assignment or you struggle with a number of the technical track problem sets, but you do well on the concept track problem sets, we'll still give you a regular certificate if you fail the technical track. So not all will be lost. A couple of final points about grading. Unfortunately, we cannot accept any late problem sets or assignments, so you'll really have to pay attention to those time zones. Make sure you turn in the problem sets and assignments before they're due. Now, Shashi and I were students so long ago, so we do recall that sometimes life intervenes, right? Sometimes you have a family issue. Sometimes you have to do, work for another class, which has, assigned you tons and tons of work, these types of things. So we actually will forgive the lowest grade you have on a problem set in each track. So if you do need to skip one of the problem sets, you can do that without a penalty one time. Okay. The last point is that all assignments are required, so this forgiveness policy does not apply to assignments. All right, some recipes for success in this course. We really recommend that you watch the videos early in the week. So the module will open on Tuesday. Watch the videos on Tuesday or Wednesday. Get your mind around the material. Allow yourself some time to ask questions in the discussion forum, these types of things. Don't leave the problem sets until the very last minute. I think most of you who have been students before know that's always a recipe for failure. So please do try to do those earlier. Again, we cannot accept late problem sets. And then lastly, please do make use of the discussion forum on the Coursera website. On the left-hand side of the website, you'll see a link to the discussion forum. In many MOOCs, this is a wonderful community with all sorts of folks asking questions. You'll get answers from your classmates. You'll get answers from a TA we have who will be quite active in the forum. And Dr. Shekhar and I will both participate in the forum as well. Okay, a couple last things here. Do look at the README first in the syllabus on the course website. You can see the links here. Do read those. There's a lot of important information in there. I've covered a subset of it in this video, but make sure you read those as well. There is a separate reading website. Here is the URL. Of course, there will be a link on the Coursera webpage as well. This is where you're going to get the links to the weekly readings, which again are required and will be covered on the problem sets. We'll also point out cool resources, perhaps some cool software for those of you in the technical track, current events, these types of things. The discussion forum, which we mentioned, there's the link. And social media. We will have a limited social media presence, in particular through our Twitter account, at SpatialCompMOOC. For those of you who, or in a couple weeks, you'll take a look at the Volunteer Geographic Information lecture. This Twitter account plays a key role in that lecture, which should get you excited. It's a fun one. And that's about it.